Welcome to World War III. We're about to deep dive into a scenario that, well, for decades, seemed almost impossible. The potential for German forces to once again stand directly, face to face with Russian forces. This isn't merely about shifting lines on a map. It cuts right to the heart of history, national identity, and the very architecture of European security. Today, we're really dissecting Germany's evolving plans, the idea of sending soldiers to Ukraine as part of post-war security guarantees. It's a decision loaded with just immense historical weight. We're talking about the return of German military presence on Ukrainian soil for the first time since, well, the darkest days of World War II.
And what really stands out immediately, looking at the sources, is how this discussion happening in Berlin isn't just some contemporary policy debate. It's profoundly burdened by history.
Burdened, yeah, that's the word.
The simple mention of German troops on Ukrainian soil, it instantly evokes the horrific atrocities committed by Nazi forces during World War II. This historical echo, the memory of that brutal past, it casts such a long shadow over every single part of this conversation. It makes this moment incredibly fraught, incredibly sensitive.
Absolutely. And the stack of sources we've pulled together, they really lay bare just how intricate this whole discussion is. And, as we look at the current situation, it's clear the war in Ukraine is nowhere near a resolution.
Not at all.
Despite all the intense diplomatic maneuvering, occasional maybe glimmers of optimism from figures like President Trump, a definitive, lasting peace agreement still feels incredibly distant. The conflict just remains this grinding stalemate, which really demands we look closer at these proposed solutions.
Indeed. And what's crucial to grasp here is that the very foundation, the ground these potential security discussions are being built on, it's still incredibly unstable. This ongoing, unresolved conflict means that any long-term security arrangement is being debated while the war is still active. That just intensifies the stakes and the profound uncertainty around any future deployments. It really begs the question, can you actually guarantee a lasting peace when the conflict itself is still so fluid?
Exactly. And it's right in this climate of uncertainty that a truly pivotal debate is gaining serious traction inside Germany. Should Berlin deploy its soldiers to guarantee Ukraine's security once peace is finally achieved? And this isn't just some theoretical exercise, isn't it? It feels like a defining moment for Europe's willingness to actually forge its own independent security guarantees.
Yeah, and maybe reduce its long-standing reliance on the United States for continental defense.
Yes, significantly reduce it.
And a key dimension of this whole conversation is how it really connects with Chancellor Friedrich Merz's broader political ambition.
All right, Merz.
Merz, yeah. He's a prominent figure from the center-right Christian Democratic Union, and he's consistently pushed for a more, let's say, robust German role in global affairs. So for him, this decision isn't just about Ukraine. It's about repositioning Germany as a central, assertive leader, not just within Europe, but really on the wider global stage. It's a bold move, pushing Germany to potentially step into a leadership vacuum.
And that ambition, it reflects nothing less than a monumental internal shift within Germany itself, particularly regarding its relationship with its own armed forces, the Bundeswehr.
That's a huge point.
For decades after the Cold War, Germany took this deeply cautious approach to military power, largely because of its World War II legacy, obviously. This led to severe budget cuts, neglect of military readiness. But our sources are showing that since 2022, really spurred by Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and also the increasing signals that the U.S. might be, distancing itself from European defense.
Right, the strategic pivot.
Germany has embarked on what many are calling a Zeitenwende, a profound turning point. It's like an authentic reconstruction process for its military.
A sea change, really.
The true depth of this transformation, though, you see it in the concrete evidence. The record investments, these aren't just symbolic gestures.
Not at all.
Back in 2022, right after the invasion, then Chancellor Olaf Scholz, a social democrat, he announced a $100 billion special fund just to address critical gaps in the Bundeswehr.
A massive sum at the time.
And now, for 2025, Chancellor Merz, building on that, has announced an additional $200 billion boost.
$200 billion more. It's staggering.
This commitment, it just signals a fundamental recalibration of Germany's entire strategic compass. It feels like it's moving beyond just that post-war identity of never again to one of, well, what if we don't act?
And what's particularly interesting here is that this isn't purely a top-down government thing. Our sources show widespread public backing for this. Yeah, opinion polls consistently show a majority of Germans actually approve of strengthening the military. The Ministry of Defense, under figures like Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, they're actively proposing innovative recruitment incentives. And there's this growing discussion across the political spectrum about maybe returning to some form of mandatory military service, even if temporary, just to significantly boost reservist numbers.
Wow.
It suggests a real societal shift in perception where the importance of national defense is being reevaluated at a fundamental level.
Okay, let's just unpack this for a second. There's a lot to consider here. And as you're navigating these complex waters with us, if you're finding this deep dive insightful, maybe even a bit thought-provoking, we truly appreciate it if you hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us bring you more of these in-depth explorations. And speaking of which, what makes you tune into deep dives like this one? What keeps you hooked? Let us know in the comments.
It's a good point to pause because this rapid rearmament, this rebuilding of a military that was intentionally downsized for so long, it brings us right back to that very real, very historically charged question. With this new capability, is Germany now ready to send soldiers on a mission to patrol parts of Ukraine that would directly border Russia?
And the sources highlight just how heavy that is, historically.
Immense historical weight, consciously echoing the devastating presence of German Nazi troops on Ukrainian soil during World War II, where, unimaginable atrocities were committed. The very idea brings these deep-seated anxieties right back to the surface.
Understandably.
And this profound dilemma, it's already sparking pretty significant internal divisions within Germany. Chancellor Merz, as we said, has indicated he's open to including German forces in a broader European security mission in Ukraine.
Right, he's put it on the table.
But we're seeing considerable resistance, even from within his own party and coalition. Foreign Minister Johann von Poo, he's from the Green Party, known for a more cautious diplomatic approach. He's warned that such a task could dangerously overstretch the Bundeswehr.
Which already has troops deployed elsewhere, right?
Exactly. They're already in Lithuania as part of NATO's enhanced forward presence, trying to deter Russian aggression there. And similarly, you have Saxony Governor Michael Keimer. He's also CDU like Merz, but often represents a more, let's say, conservative, resource-conscious view. He's explicitly stated that the armed forces currently just lack the sufficient resources to guarantee Ukraine's security effectively.
So you've got this ambition for a more assertive Germany clashing with, well, the stark reality of current military capacity and this heavy historical trauma.
Okay.
How does the German government currently frame the possibilities for these security guarantees? What are they saying officially?
Well, the official line from Berlin, according to what we're seeing, is that these guarantees could take various forms. There's a spectrum.
Okay.
It ranges from, a vital air support and robust cybersecurity assistance, all the way to extensive training of Ukrainian military personnel. But, and this is really the crucial part, the possibility of deploying German ground soldiers for direct patrolling is specifically not ruled out.
Not ruled out. That's careful language.
Very careful. It allows for flexibility, keeps the most historically sensitive option technically on the table, but it's clearly awaiting much more political and parliamentary debate.
Which brings us, inevitably, to the United States' role in all this. What are the sources saying there?
They're very clear on this point. President Trump and his advisors have unequivocally stated no American soldiers will be part of this specific European mission in Ukraine.
Okay, so boots on the ground. A definite no from the U.S. for this mission.
Correct. Which represents a pretty significant shift in that transatlantic security dynamic we've known for so long. However, the U.S. will certainly be part of the overall coordination efforts, and they're expected to act directly in certain aspects of the security guarantee.
Certain aspects. Like what?
Well, some analyses are speculating this could include deploying U.S. air defenses in NATO countries nearby, primarily to actively protect any European forces that might be stationed on Ukrainian soil.
Ah, I see. So providing a protective umbrella from NATO territory.
Exactly. It's a very specific kind of support. It seems designed to empower European autonomy, let Europe take the lead on the ground in Ukraine without committing direct U.S. military personnel inside Ukraine for this particular guarantee mission.
Okay, so that clarifies the U.S. angle.
Yeah.
But how does all this potential European support fit into the bigger picture? The actual peace process, which seems so stuck.
Yeah, that's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? Well, our sources really underscore is this persistent fundamental gap between Kyiv and Moscow about what an acceptable peace agreement even looks like.
Right.
Russia, for instance, is demanding that it gets to participate in Ukraine's own security guarantees.
Wait, Russia wants to guarantee Ukraine's security.
Effectively, yes,
Yeah.
which would grant them veto power over Ukraine's defense decisions, its alliances, its force size, even what weapons it can have.
That sounds completely unworkable for Ukraine.
Well, quite understandably, it's absolutely unacceptable to the Ukrainians. Ukraine, meanwhile, is adamant. They insist on much more real, tangible commitments from Europe and the United States. They want robust, enforceable security frameworks, not just vague promises.
And that insistence from Kiev, it seems to be reflected in Washington's stance, too. You mentioned Trump signaling aid, but not troops.
Precisely. And Vice President Vance articulated this very directly in a recent interview. He said, quote, Europe will have to assume most of the responsibility. It's their continent, it's their security.
Wow. That statement really solidifies the shift in responsibility Washington is pushing for. It's a profound moment for European strategic autonomy, isn't it?
It really is. And what's truly illuminating, historically speaking, is that this whole debate about European military presence on Ukrainian soil isn't entirely new.
Oh.
We can actually trace its recent origins back to last year. French President Emmanuel Macron first openly advocated for the idea. He was pushing for a robust European military presence in Ukraine.
I remember that. It caused quite a stir.
It did.
Yeah.
His proposal sparked considerable debate at the time.
And what was the German reaction back then? Because it feels different now.
Starkly different. At that time, then, Chancellor Olaf Scholz harshly rejected Macron's proposal, just flat out rejected it.
He was very public about it, wasn't he?
Extremely. He went so far as to broadcast a national video reassuring the German people, saying they would never be sent to fight on Ukrainian territory. It was a very firm, unambiguous stance, a clear red line, really reflecting Germany's traditional post-war military caution.
But today,
The political reality is, well, vastly different. Our sources indicate that after these recent high-stakes meetings in Washington with President Trump and other key European leaders, Chancellor Merz has now explicitly left open the possibility of a direct German involvement.
left it open, not committed, but not ruled out.
Exactly. He acknowledges, of course, that any decision to actually send German soldiers would require rigorous parliamentary approval. That's a significant hurdle in Germany. But it's no longer presented as an outright impossibility. This shift represents a truly momentous change in Germany's foreign and defense policy calculations. It seems driven both by the evolving conflict and this changing geopolitical landscape.
So it feels like this isn't just about the immediate crisis in Ukraine then. It's part of a much larger political project.
That's how many security experts are interpreting it, yes. They see this entire situation as a critical opportunity to consolidate an image of a more assertive Germany.
Assertive Germany.
A nation capable of leading a Europe that is significantly less dependent on Washington for its own defense and security. This looks like Germany actively stepping into a leadership role, not just reacting to events, but maybe trying to fundamentally shape the future of European defense policy in a world where, the old certainties are rapidly fading away. And this profound transformation really compels us, and you listening, to consider the bigger picture. For decades, Germany deliberately, curtailed its military prominence. It was a direct, understandable legacy born from the horrors of World War II.
Right, a deliberate choice.
Now, though, it stands at this critical crossroads, facing a choice between maintaining that deep-seated caution or assuming a far more active and, let's be honest, potentially dangerous role on a continent where peace can truly never be considered guaranteed. It raises a crucial question, I think, for everyone. What does this dramatic shift in Germany's posture truly signify for the delicate balance of power and the future stability of Europe?
So what does this all mean for you listening right now and for the world? We've covered a huge amount in this deep dive, trying to pull out the crucial nuggets of insight from these sources about Germany's incredible, almost historic transformation. If you found this discussion valuable, please do make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We truly appreciate you engaging with us. It helps us continue these in-depth explorations. And tell us, where are you tuning in from today? We're always curious. Or maybe, what was the most striking detail or aha moment for you in this particular deep dive? about Germany's strategic pivot. We'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And as you reflect on these complex dynamics and Germany's potentially momentous decision, if you're looking to dive even deeper and keep exploring this critical topic, just click on the video that should be showing up on your screen right about now. It'll take you to another deep dive into the evolving story of, well, World War III.